this is a story that comes to us from worldsocialistwebsite.org, and I think it's interesting the way that, in general, mainstream press has been reporting on this coronavirus that has developed in China, is it Wuhan province? So, okay, it can be a deadly virus for sure. There are demonstrable deaths from it. We don't know for sure how human-to-human contact happens. There are a few theories that are put forward. The major one is that, it appears to be airborne, water droplets that are suspended in air, like coughing and things like that. If you're in close enough proximity to someone who has coronavirus.
You notice I've been sick, so.
Okay, don't get me.
I've been calling it kennel cough, though, not coronavirus.
All right, let's just fingers crossed. I mean, you just got off a cruise. We're just going to call that.
Yep.
We're just going to call that cruise
cough.
Cruise cough. I like that.
I like it. It's good.
Ultimately, there actually has been one case of human-to-human transference of the virus in the United States, and it happened right here in Chicago.
In our hometown.
Yeah, exactly. So the World Health Organization has officially declared coronavirus a global health emergency, but we need to unpack that a little bit, because what you end up hearing on most news outlets here in the United States is China can't handle this. They aren't doing it right. They've got so many people that are sick. They caused this problem. They have no idea what they're doing. And I just want to be like, time out. The major investments into research in China have been sort of in the biological sphere. Research and development into medical technologies and things like that. Major investments over the years. The last time the United States did any kind of major R&D investments was essentially in the early part of the 20th century, and it formed a lot of what ended up becoming microprocessors and the technology movement that we see and we reap all the benefits from today. We've essentially stopped investing in R&D to that level since then. Public R&D projects are not a major thing in the U.S. To that point, you cannot take the World Health Organization's statement out of context and just not actually listen to what they said, because the World Health Organization made it extremely clear that nothing that they are saying is to impugn China's efforts to contain this virus, to understand it, to understand if it's mutating, to work on making a cure for it, to work on trying to find vaccinations for it, to build hospitals to care for people. The reason that they declared it a global health emergency was because there are a number of countries that don't have adequate healthcare systems to accommodate a potential high influx of folks with this illness. Now, again, to reiterate, the only people that have died from this illness are essentially elderly folks and people who had pre-existing medical conditions that became complicating factors. So while it is technically a deadly virus, it appears to basically it does not at this point seem to be as deadly as people are kind of being hyperbolic about. As case in point, the flu has killed a lot more people already this year.
But if there's something we can freak out about, man, let's freak out.
Right, and not only if there's something that we can freak out about, if there's something we can not only freak out about and blame China for, boy, we're going to eat that up. So I'm not saying it's not a real thing. I'm not saying don't worry about it. What I'm saying is this is less aggressive than past outbreaks have been. This is less aggressive than SARS was. If you remember SARS from the 90s.
I remember the SARS guards.
SARS was early 2000s. And it's less...
SARS was, I think it was later than the 90s.
Yeah, boy, my memory is not... I'm getting confused. But MERS was later than that, so that's a Middle East something virus. But yeah, this is not quite the same as that, and it certainly isn't the same as Ebola. Right? And Ebola has a very different way of spreading human to human, etc. I just wanted to call out, this is essentially the same as what we've been saying before. It is not something to take lightly,
no.
Right? At the same time, it is not something to just go crazy. Like, the world isn't coming to an end, right? This is not going to turn into pandemic. Everybody be cool.
Well, I think this one thing that we haven't mentioned yet in relation to this story is how this points to the importance of a national healthcare system, right?
Right.
So,
well, and the fact that the United States really doesn't have the capacity to handle an influx of patients like this. Also, everyone would go bankrupt because nobody has adequate health insurance for this kind of thing.
yeah, absolutely. So when I came back, started learning about all of this, someone in the office that who works in the office of the gym that I'm in, said something about how it might be biowarfare, and she's like, "Think about it. The United States has no health care system. It would be the perfect way to like attack us." And I was like, "Okay, I think that your tinfoil hat has gotten a little too tight, and." Okay, I could see that angle, right? It's like a lot of people would be really, really screwed if there was, something really, really pandemic, really dangerous for a large population of people, especially if the cure would actually make some pharmaceutical company a lot of money.
Yeah. There's money that could be on the line for this for sure.
Yeah. So.
It's funny that you mentioned tinfoil hat conspiracies. My brother relayed this story to me from a friend of ours that we went to high school with who was a nurse. And she was saying when she was doing her residency, she was dealing with a woman and her baby, and she was trying to convince this woman to vaccinate her child. And this woman was super conspiracy theorist. The vaccines have all of this stuff in them, and it's not good. You can't do it. They're all those, blah, 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 anti-vaccine. She's just like trying to convince this woman that no, it's really good. These are developed. People aren't dying from being vaccinated, but we sort of have this sort of herd. Like she did all of the things that she could do to explain to this person that actually vaccines are really, really necessary. And so she went to her. I don't know what they call the physician that was sort of her superior. And she's like, I'm talking to this woman and she won't vaccinate her baby and I don't know what to do. And he's like, I know how to handle this. And he walks in there and he listens to this person very calmly, all of her concerns about vaccines and all of the terrible things. And he goes, have you considered that this anti-vaccine hysteria is actually a media plant by the Chinese so that they can launch a biological attack against Americans because we will no longer be vaccinated from these diseases. That woman vaccinated her child.
What? Oh, there you go. Speak right into the listening, right?
Yep.
Speak right into that listening.
Just play into the conspiracy theory and be like, have you considered? It's a
considered,
conspiracy.
though?
She vaccinated.
I love it. That's what a genius.
I know. Perfect, right?
I know, right? This guy.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know
I
if
love
she
it,
got that
though.
off of a website, but I thought it was hilarious.
It's pretty great.